Well, now don't just stand off yonder. Come on up closer. Scoot them chairs in. And before we get to Jarwin proper, let me ask you all something. What time are you listening? And where you tuning in from? Go on. Drop it down below. Reckon it's mighty curious, knowing where folks are sitting, as this tale rattles through the night air. Now hush up, young'uns. Don't go rustling in them peanut shells. This here's a story about something that set Juniper Ridge a-whispering near 20 summers back. Ain't the kind of yarn you'll find in no book, no sir. It's the kind that drifts round porch steps and through the crack of a screen, or when the lamp's burning low. And it all starts with a man wore a blue coat and carried a leather bag, the mailman. Every morning like clockwork, you'd hear them old boots hitting gravel, steady as a metronome. He knew every dog, bark, every gate squeak, every holler from the ridge to the mill road. But one day, he didn't show. No knock, no whistle, no morning Miss Liza. Just empty air and puzzled faces. Where'd he get to, Grandpa? Hush now, boy. I'm coming to it. Don't rush an old fella. Folks first reckoned he'd got laid up sick, but the doc hadn't seen him. Sheriff poked about, sniffed, round his cabin. Boots by the door, kettle still warm, bed made crisp, like he'd stepped out for a breath and just plain evaporated. Some say he took off with a traveling show. Others whispered darker things, debts, grudges, maybe a hidden sorrow. But no proof. Nothing solid, just the sound of crickets singing in place of answers. Now here's where the marrow of the tale starts to thicken. Years rolled on. Kids grew, barns fell, seasons turned like wagon wheels. Folks quit talking much about that fella, though his absence hung like a ghost in the rafters. Then one day, a dusty envelope turned up where it sure as shooting didn't belong. Who's been poking about? I asked the young'uns that day. Just like I'm asking y'all now. A letter, yellowed like autumn leaves, stuck in the crack of the old post office desk. Nobody remembered seeing it, not the new clerk, not the old. And lordy, when it got pried open, eyes widened like lanterns flaring at dusk. It weren't. No ordinary note. Script neat as a hymn book, writ to a woman who'd long since gone to her rest. Spoke of family matters hush-hush, secrets buried deep, things no neighbor ever guessed. Talk of money tucked away, of promises broke, and of shame. Carried quiet through the years. And the strangest part, date stamped the very morn the mailman disappeared. The porch boards creak, the lantern sways, and I see you all leaning in closer, same as these young'uns here. What did it say, Grandpa? Hold your horses, child. A story's got to breathe like a fiddle tune stretching through the holler. All I'll tell you now is that letter set more tongues wagging than a rooster in June, and the air round Juniper Ridge ain't never felt the same since. Now settle yourselves, young'uns, and you two listening out there, don't be squirming, like a pup on a hot skillet. By golly, that letter was the kind of thing that'll make the hair on the back of your neck stiffen like frost on fence wire. It weren't just words on paper, no sir. It was near about a riddle wrapped in sorrow. Luciur. First lines spoke soft, near tender, like a man writing to kinfolk he hadn't faced in years. Talking about a promise made under an oak tree long ago. About a trust broken. About something that still weighed heavy as a sack of wet cornmeal. And there, scrawled plain as daylight, was a name. One that half the town carried. In their bloodlines. Mercy Caldwell. Lordy, when folks read that, you could hear the hush spread like smoke drifting slow. Grandpa, who was she? Now hush up and let me stretch it out. Mercy was one of them women folks never forgot. Walked with her chin high, worked her land hard, kept her boys fed after her man passed on. But she weren't no easy one. Quick tongue, sharper than a saw blade, and secrets too, reckon so. The letter claimed she'd been holding back money. Not just pennies neither, but good sums squirreled away from a sale nobody knew had ever happened. And it weren't writ in no accusing tone, but more a begging one. Like the writer feared his own kin would tumble into ruin if that money stayed hid. Now lean in closer. Here's the riddle. The postmark was stamped the very morn our mailman vanished clean off. Same ink, same day, like his last duty was carrying. That piece of paper, but it never reached her hands. Found tucked away instead, like some invisible hand stopped it mid-flight. One of the kids here pipes up. Maybe he run off 'cause of it? Could be, darling. Could be he saw too much, knew too much. Or maybe he never got the chance to deliver it 'cause something, or someone, put a stop to his tracks. Folks whispered louder after that. Old lamps swaying in the post. Office, shadows stretching long, and neighbors looking sideways at one another. Who knew what, and how deep them family roots twisted round each other. I tell you, that night when word spread, the ridge went quiet as a church graveyard. Crickets hushed, dogs didn't bark, even the kettle hissed low on the stove like it was listening. People started remembering things they'd sooner kept buried. Mercy's sudden trips into town, her kinfolk arguing out back of the store, the way she'd sit silent on her porch some nights, staring out toward the ridge. Rude like expecting someone who never came. And the letter didn't just stop there. No, sir. Toward the bottom, scratchy ink near faded, were words that seemed more confession than correspondence. Talk about debts paid in flesh. Talk about keeping what's owed from falling into wicked hands. Things that curled the stomach like smell of iron after a storm. Grandpa, what's that mean? Well now, child, don't go losing sleep yet. But I reckon that old envelope weren't just a scrap forgotten. It was a key, and every key's got a lock waiting, sure as shooting. Now you'll hush a minute, even you out there listening, with the glow of that screen on your face. Lean in close, 'cause this is the part where the fire pops low, and every creak of the porch feels like a footstep coming nearer. The young'uns here got their eyes wide, barely breathing, waiting on the next twist of the tale. See, after that letter showed its face, folks in Juniper Ridge started rummaging like squirrels in autumn. Old trunks got dragged down from attics, ledgers dusted off, drawers yanked open. Every Caldwell kin tried to piece together what Mercy might have kept hid, but nothing solid came, just whispers, scraps of rumor, and one name that began crawling. Back up through the soil, the mailman himself. Grandpa, they think he took it. Hush now, darling. They thought plenty. Some said he pocketed the money, ran off into the hills. Others swore he'd been silenced by hands that didn't want them words delivered. And then there was the oddest detail of all. The mailbag. Sheriff swore up and down it weren't never found. Not hanging in his cabin, not laying in the brush, not even by the creek where boys sometimes poked with sticks. Just gone, like the man. By golly, I still remember that summer storm that rolled through soon after. Thunder cracking like gunfire, lightning splashing across the ridge. And out back of the general store, one of the Caldwell boys swore he saw something wedged under a root down by the swollen creek bank, a flap of leather. But when he went back with lantern come morning, nary a sign, just mud and driftwood, as if the earth had swallowed it whole. The letter sat locked up in the sheriff's desk after that, though some say it weren't always there. Once or twice, clerks muttered it went missing for days, then showed back, up like it never left. Don't that chill your hide? Paper don't just walk off by itself. One evening on this very porch, wind rattling the loose screen, a little girl, much like you sitting here, darling, asked me if ghosts could carry mail. Made me laugh then, but truth be told, it gnawed at me after. 'Cause every so often late at night, folks claim they heard boots on the gravel road. Slow, steady, same rhythm as the man that used to whistle coming up the lane. But when lanterns were lit and doors swung open, there weren't no figure, just the sound of crickets picking up again. Grandpa, was it him? Could be a child, or maybe just the ridge playing tricks, same as it always has. Land remembers things, I reckon. Holds them tight in roots and rocks till it's ready to let them slip back out. But listen now, and listen close. The stranger's turn came not from Mercy, nor her kin, nor even the sheriff. It came one dusk when the preacher's boy, nosing round the old post office, found another envelope wedged deep in a crack behind the desk. Older, darker, near brittle. Not stamped, not sealed. Just sitting there, waiting, and scrawled. On the front, plain as day, a single line that made his knees knock together. Mercy me, when that second envelope come to light, you could near hear the whole ridge draw breath in one long gasp. The preacher's boy stood there, white as flour, holding it out like a coal too hot to keep in his palm. For them, that's still waiting. Lordy, what kind of words be that? Not to a soul named proper, not to a house, nor kin. Just them that wait. The sheriff tried to claim it, lock it away, same as the first. But by then, tongues was wagging faster than a creek. In spring flood, folks gathered round the porch of the post office, oil lamps swinging, moths dancing in the light, every eye sharp as a tack on that brittle paper. When it finally got eased open, careful as splitting kindling, out slid a folded sheet, near fallen to pieces, handwriting shakier like penned in a hurry or under a tremble. It spoke a reckoning of wrongs hid under quilts and fields, of debts no money could square. And right at the bottom, where the ink bled out like tears in rain, was a line none forgot. Deliver what I could not. The ridge remembers. Well, now that set folks muttering all over again. Some swore it proved the mailman weren't no runaway, but a man tangled up in secrets heavier than his own bag. Others feared it meant Mercy herself had known more than she let on. Her silence less pride and more protection. Grandpa, did they ever find out? Hush up, child. Truth don't always come tidy, tied with string. Sometimes it lingers, hangs in the rafters like smoke. What I can tell you is this. After that second letter, things in Juniper Ridge never felt right steady. Nights grew longer, quieter. Dogs barked less. Children played closer to home. And every so often down by the Ridge Road, folks swore they saw a shadowy figure walking slow, steady, carrying something slung across the shoulder. Never close enough to call to, never clear enough to swear by. Just a shape that'd vanish when the lamplight swung its way. And here we sit, you young'uns leaning in, fire crackling, porch boards sighing, and you listening out yonder, through the hum of your own room. A tale about a man who vanished, about letters that came too late, about family secrets hid deep as roots in the soil. Ain't no ending proper, not the kind you tuck away neat. Just a question hanging. In the night air, same as that envelope asked, who among us is still waiting?